Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Protin. Every week I will be sharing the experiences that have defined my journey and talking with people who have their own powerful story to tell. It's about doing better and being better in life, business, and all things in between. The visually inclined can catch us on YouTube, or you can check us out on just about every podcast platform. SPEO. We're here at the Engineers Society of Western Pennsylvania, this amazing venue, which is just one of my favorite buildings in among a million favorite buildings in Pittsburgh. But we're here with a couple of really impressive social organizations, nonprofits here in the city of Pittsburgh, SPEO, Southwestern Pennsylvania Engineering Outreach, and NEED. And we'll get into all of that. NEED is new to me, so we're going to have my new friend Marcia talk a lot about that. So ladies, please do me a favor and do our audience a favor and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. Donna Chappel, you're here representing SPEO.
Yes, I am. My name is Donna Chappel, and I've been a member of SPEO since 2003. And through the years, it's 20 years now, and through the years, I've seen its membership grow. And our mission is to connect large firms with small minority and woman-owned firms to try to have them work together. And what we've seen from the benefit of that is we have seen connections being made, relationships being built, and projects being completed by our member firms. So through the years, our membership has grown, and I think it's grown because of the connections they've made and relationships that are being built. But we have a mission also to help the underserved community and help organizations that have more of a STEM outreach and have opportunities to develop the interest of their children within the community to pursue STEM careers. So as our membership's grown and our dues are minimal, and so that kind of entices, very affordable, and it entices people to come and join us because of that. But also because of our membership's grown, we're able to help more and more organizations, and that's so important to us. So it's a great organization, and we have a lot of organizations that we've supported throughout the years, and it makes my heart, full that we're able to do this.
And that's 2003. That's when you and I first met, because I was on the board representing Chester Engineers back then, and it's hard to believe it's been 20 years.
Oh my God, yeah, unbelievable.
And Holly Douglas, who is the president of SPEO currently.
Yes, current chair of SPEO. I actually joined in 2009 and stepped away for a little bit as I transitioned to other careers, and then came back. And so, as Donna mentioned, you can see the benefit. It's an engineering outreach organization, and so a conversation among engineers, whether it's a mentor or a protege relationship, and then kind of, my personal goal as being the chair was really kind of expanding our conversation. Our conversation space with other engineering firms, but also what we're doing in the community, and that give back piece is very important to me.
Right. Now, it is an engineering organization, as the name states, but is membership open to other types of businesses?
So you can be an affiliate organization and be a member of SPEO as well.
Okay, excellent. That's wonderful. One of the proudest things that for me over the course of my career, particularly here in Pittsburgh, has been my association with SPEO. It's almost impossible not to really fall in love with the mission and the people. The engineering industry in Pittsburgh is very small, right? I've been doing this 40 years, and I keep seeing the same faces over and over and over again. Some might have a different logo on their shirt at times, but at the end of the day, this has been a very committed and devoted organization, and again, one I've been honored to be associated with. And now, Dr. Marcia.
Hello.
How are you? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and about NEED.
Okay. I'm the president and CEO of NEED, and historically, you'll understand that NEED stands for Negro Educational Emergency Drive. My career has always been working with underserved children and families, and I've been at NEED for 10 years now.
Okay.
And I am, in fact, a former NEED recipient.
Really?
Yes. So
wonderful.
When you invest in children, we know that good things happen.
Absolutely.
We're very proud of our history. We were really part of the civil rights movement. We started in 1963, and there were two women here. Well, one woman that was very instrumental. Her name was Marion Jordan, and she had a good friend, Florence Reisenstein. If you remember Reisenstein Middle
Sure,
School?
absolutely.
Okay. Marion Jordan had worked with Medgar Evers,
Okay.
and when he was assassinated, of course, she was so moved by that, she was determined to keep his legacy alive, which was trying to get people to vote, as well as the ability to vote, as well as integrating colleges and universities.
Okay.
And she came up with the idea that we're going to do this in Pittsburgh. So the summer of 1963, Marion Jordan and Florence Reisenstein called people from all over the country to come to Pittsburgh to raise dollars in order to help African American students go on to college. And that year there were 76 students who went on to college. And we've been operating since 1963. We just celebrated and had our big benefit this past March,
Okay.
our 60th anniversary. And people came from all over to honor Medgar Evers and the legacy of Need. If you,
What a wonderful legacy.
oh, it's absolutely, the history is
The
fascinating.
organization I saw has, and like I said, I was curious. I had known about the organization from being on the SPEO board, but I didn't really dive into it. I'm almost ashamed to say that. But when I did this week, knowing we were going to talk, I was blown away. Now, am I correct in that the organization has served nearly 50,000 students in those 60 years?
Yes, we're going on to 50, it was 48,000 something.
And nearly $50 million in grants and scholarships and
Yes. If you look at professionals that are in Pittsburgh of African American descent, 9 times out of 10, they are former Need recipients. And it's not just about scholarship dollars, which we certainly are so appreciative
Right.
of SPEO, but it's also about mentoring and inspiring children to go on to higher education. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you don't really need a college degree. And we say, yes, you do. You know, that the more education you have, the better you're equipped to.
you're prepared.
You're prepared.
You're prepared.
Yes, and you can compete.
Sure.
And our students are the best and brightest kids you'll ever want to meet. You know, so often we hear in the news about children aren't interested in doing good things. These are kids who have great aspirations, who really
Sure.
want to do great things, and they go on to do that. Many of our judges here in Pittsburgh,
Judge Watson is a friend of mine. She's
she's a Need, and actually
Yep.
she's on our board.
Yes.
Cheryl, the Honorable Cheryl Allen, former Superior Court judge,
Sure.
she's a former recipient. Nicole, I can't think, I'm sorry. I always call her Nicole, but Judge Nicole, she's one of our former
Sure.
recipients.
that's amazing.
It really is. And we hold strong to the belief that if you expose children to different careers, to motivate them, to tell them of their history, that they'll go on to do great things. And I think our record shows that.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the marriage of these two organizations makes perfect sense, right? Because, you know, the main beneficiaries of SPEO in the outreach that we do there are small disadvantaged businesses, whether they're minority owned or women owned, which that's the investment that we make, and you're making that same type of investment. And you know, I mentioned to you before we started that I was basically raised by teachers. Every influence in my life, were educators. So this is a subject near and dear to my heart. But I believe that education is the key to not only our region but our country overcoming poverty, right? And you know, I did a project down in Greene County, south of here, and it was one of the most powerful things I experienced because I went to a local high school down there, and the valedictorian, a young lady, came from a situation of generational poverty and all kind of other things. Her principal introduced me to her and told me that she wasn't going to go to college because nobody in her family ever did. She was just going to fall right into, and that really distressed me because she's the pivot point. And they don't even realize it, right? She's the pivot point that could change the trajectory of not only her family, but families around her that she touches. And your organization is doing those types of things. When you think about in 2023, there are families who have never had a family member go to college.
Right.
Let alone graduate from college.
Right. About 1/3 of all of our students are first generation college students. And I want to say Nicole Henry Taylor just
There you go.
yeah, the brain freeze there. Yes, and that's what's so important. College application is very challenging. It's a very cumbersome
Absolutely.
process. I, as a parent, struggled with it. I had been to college. This is my work. And that's what we want to do. We want to help parents understand the process as well as students, but we also do tangible, hands-on, all of the stuff, the mentoring, the application.
That's important.
It's important to
Because,
get.
I have my second grandchild just started college, and she's a freshman this year. And, most people think you get good grades, you apply to college, boom. That's no. There's so much more to a college application than just a grade point average.
Right. Yeah. It's important that our kids have to be able to see themselves, in different fields. And some of them, in fact, this question always comes up. Well, what is an engineer?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
that's very funny because when I was growing up, my grandfather was an engineer on the railroad.
Okay.
If you would have asked me when I was in high school what was an engineer, that's what I would have said. Why would I want to be an engineer? So there's a lot of different, very few young people when they go and they pick a major are thinking ahead far enough to what would that job actually be like.
I mean, honestly, kids are, how much money does it make, right?
Right.
Without really understanding what it is and
Yeah.
where the passion is. And I think that's one of the things as we, seek to support organizations. We want kids to see themselves. We
Yeah.
want them to see other minorities. We want them to see women engineers. And we want them to really understand why we chose that profession and why we love it, right? And so if they can see it and they can hear it and they can understand it, then it becomes real to them. And so it's not I'm going to make money and then you end up failing out of school because you don't have a passion for it. You really didn't understand it. You really didn't know about it. But if you have those mentors early on, if you have those opportunities, if you have the camps or the activities or the things early on, you've kind of immersed yourself in it, and now it becomes a passion for you.
Sure.
And now as you learn and you grow, then you can excel.
Absolutely. I read once where somebody in our industry said that the next great generation of engineers is sitting in a math class in 8th grade, right? And when you think about it, we recruit universities. We recruit at Pitt, at Penn State, at WVU. We'll dip into high schools and talk about engineering, but we never really go that far back. And when you think of it, that's when the seed needs to be planted and then cultivated through high school. Again, going back to when I was a senior in high school, I thought an engineer drove a train, So I think that going back in there, and I think it's important for those young people at that age to see women, to see people of color, that they are excelling and thriving in probably in a job that a lot of them right there don't. Number one, if they even know what it is, they don't think it's attainable for them.
Right.
Yeah, we had a program, and most of those children have graduated, but we start even earlier. That you have
Wonderful.
You have to plant that seed of higher education period very early. So from parents should from the time those kids enter school, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
Or these are some things that you need to do. Help them understand that you just don't become a physician. That you plant all of those seeds and you prepare for it. And I just have such bright views of our students today that they really are so motivated. You just have to expose them. For instance, we do an annual tour
Okay.
college tour. It's very popular. And it surprises and saddens me that sometimes we go by bus, we're going for like 10 days. We'll get to Monroeville to get on the turnpike, and kids will say, Dr. Sturdivant, how much further do we have to go? Like they've never really been out of the city of Pittsburgh.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
You're
Right.
right.
It's just it's amazing. But when they step on those campuses, it starts to sink in. Oh, this is what college is. Because if you've not been there, you don't know what to expect.
100% correct.
So exposing. Once you expose them to the opportunities, then it's a done deal. We can get them through.
And I think you guys do something very, very well. You encourage young people to dream. If you like you said, asking a child, in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever it is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't care how outrageous it may sound, right? Encourage that, encourage it, and as they go forward, they're going to change. Right? I mean, how many young people who they start college, they're a freshman, they're going to major in this, and by the time they're done, they've got a degree in something completely different, right? So, but if you don't encourage that dream at a very early age, what do you have to aspire to? What do you have? What are you cultivating in that child moving forward?
Right. And that's part of our mantra, aspiring the dream. To dream big. And to unlock the power of education, we have to have our students understand what it means.
Sure.
And we say college changes everything.
Absolutely.
Once you go to college, your life changes. Once you graduate, your life changes. So we want our kids to aspire to, learn about, and attend college. And not just attend, but graduate.
I think that's amazing. But see, I am a huge proponent of the trades and of trade and technical schools. Because to me, listen, Pittsburgh Technical Institute is a college. You may come out of it with an associate degree, but an associate degree is a degree.
They're
Right?
one of our partners.
You don't have to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. That's wonderful to pursue your education to the highest level that you can attain. But where I'm going with that is, I don't think inner city children have the same access to the trades as the suburban kids. I mean, does that make sense? Do you see that?
Well, we know that many of our professional degrees, those students major in them because they have seen someone else, their parent, their father, or whatever.
Right.
It's the same with the trade schools. And when we say higher education, we also mean trade school.
Right. I just wanted to be clear on that. I knew you did, but I just wanted to make sure we were clear. So
it's important to match students up with people who
Right.
are in particular fields, because you may have never thought about being an engineer. Like I said, we get that all the time because we encourage STEM careers, because that's part of the new wave. And children always ask, well, what exactly is an engineer? And it's different now, even with the
Right.
trade schools, where you said you would have thought an engineer is someone who worked on the railroad.
Right.
Well, they don't understand carpentry. It takes a lot of math.
Oh, absolutely.
To get through that. So
There are
want
very
to-
few careers that you need mathematics.
math-
I'm
lot of
sorry,
math.
but you need math.
Right. And PTI is one of our major partners.
And I just threw them out as an example, but
Yes.
it's a great
We
school.
do that, yes. So we want to prepare kids too.
Sure.
To say, well, say if you want to go to the trade schools, this isn't just something like in the old days where you got a job because your father, your uncle worked there, whatever.
Right.
You have to learn how to be a carpenter. You have
That's
to
exactly
learn
right.
how to be an electrician. And those,
Plumber or welder.
Right.
And we're, again, another way that we are blessed here in Southwestern Pennsylvania is natural gas. The Marcellus Shale has created a platform for young people who maybe they don't have the mindset, the patience, whatever, to go to a 4-year college and get that degree, but they can go into the trades, into a trade school, a technical school, and make a very, very good living.
right.
Because the opportunity is here. Alcosan, look at all of what our partner Alcosan is doing, and they're not employing engineers. Those opportunities that they're creating with the consent decree program are literally touch everything.
Yeah, a lot of our students come from poor families, impoverished families, and sometimes we don't understand the impact of poverty. Many kids can't wait 4 years to be able to delay making money. They're helping their families. They're a major part of the economy of their families, the financial support of their families. So doing a 2-year stint for them is just the reality. We still tell them, though, however, that you should go on as high as you can. Don't just stop at that associate's degree. But unfortunately, economics comes into play.
Absolutely.
You just can't
Absolutely.
afford, you can't afford to wait 4 years, or you can't afford a 4-year degree.
Sure, absolutely. So, getting back to SPEO for a moment, you have a nice little brochure there. Is there what the average person that's watching this doesn't know anything about the engineering industry in Pittsburgh and the significance of this venue, right? The Engineer Society of Western Pennsylvania is one of the oldest in the entire country. I mean, it's insane how long it's endured and how it's been. So, tell us a little bit about how the industry and what it means, not only economically, but when you look at the social aspect of the city and how our industry fits into it. Does that make?
So as I understand the question, the engineers are really the building block of a society,
Yes.
right? And so when people ask, like, what is an engineer? Now, you're sitting next to an electrical engineer, you're sitting next to an environmental engineer, safety engineer. And so really all aspects of our community are tied up in engineering.
That's where I was going.
And so to be able to have this conversation about a SPEO, this was really built on the fact that, we are the building blocks, but there are minorities, there are women-owned businesses that were too small to compete for opportunities. Or maybe they weren't too small to compete for opportunities, they just weren't given those opportunities.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure.
All Boys Network, whatever. And so, SPEO is actually 27 years old. And
Right.
so that was where we began the conversation about how can we be inclusive to minority and women-owned businesses. And as a result, we want to see our own, right? Everybody wants to do business with their own, to see their own, to grow their own. And so, that is where we came out with the outreach, with the mentoring programs, with the STEM grant opportunities. And so, we obviously want to do business and to grow businesses here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, but we also want to make sure that the next generation can do business, can grow up and do business here as well.
So, Donna, let me ask you this: you and Holly both, you have succeeded in this industry, which is, to a certain extent, still a very much male-dominated industry, right? And the two of you have carved out your niche, and you've been very successful. What are some of the hurdles that you have faced in your career that relate to the SPEO mission? In other words, I'm sure you've encountered that ceiling.
Right. I think the roadblocks come with opportunities that are out there. One, you're not aware of, or you're not do not have the right connections to pursue those opportunities,
Or the bandwidth.
Right. Or the finding who the right person is at that organization to show them, or to have to meet with them and have them understand what you're able to bring to the table, and the skill sets that you have, and the knowledge base that you have, and the talent you've built over the years. That's what I was telling Holly. I've been in business for 23 years, and the thing is, with that whole time, I've built a staff and worked on and developed that staff. I don't want to lose that staff,
Right.
and I nurture that staff, and sometimes I think I'm more like their mother than their employer, because I think of all the aspects of their life, and that impacts how they can help us grow our company, and also work on projects, but also maintain and keep that family, any issues that they have with their family,
Sure.
and I want to support them in any way I can. So sometimes I look at myself thinking, maybe I'm too far in that direction, but I think that's so important for me to be able to, get into that door.
Sure.
It's opening the doors, meeting those technical people and finding the opportunities that are out there. And sometimes those doors are opened by larger firms that you connect
Sure.
with. And that's what's so important about SPEO, because you find somebody in a larger firm that's had opportunities and can use somebody with your skill sets and can do the introduction to get that door open, because sometimes it's harder to get those doors open.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, when you're talking about we'll use Alcosan, for example, and because they're really good at making sure that the companies that we're talking about with SPEO have the opportunities to get to the table.
I mean, I think the reality is you do business with who you know.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so that is really what SPEO is about, is making those introductions with, mentors to proteges, mentors to mentors, proteges to proteges.
Right.
It's about developing relationships so that you can know the capabilities and understand the skill sets that people bring to the table.
Yeah, and you do, we do, the breakfast, the mentor protege breakfast, which I think is a tremendous outreach within the industry itself. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
So the mentor protege breakfasts are mentor firms, larger firms will have a breakfast where they'll talk about all of the different opportunities that they have. Just the different departments. There's our engineering, our electrical, or whatever. And so protege firms can come in and say, hey, this is what we can do. This is how we can help you.
And you discover about each other. You discover a lot about each other. My firm hosted one of those, and your firm, Fred came out, Fred Douglas, and there was, he and I have known each other for a very long time, but we discovered things about each firm that made it much easier for us to look and find opportunities and connect and work together. So I think that's a really important piece of outreach that is really cool in our industry.
Yeah, I think that's important, because you're not only, you're meeting the project engineers,
right,
you're meeting the people that are actually working on the job. So you're meeting somebody with your specific skill sets that you can connect with,
Right.
and you can say, okay, well, there's synergies there. So I
And
think
you
that's
ha-
very important.
We have firms large and small come in to our monthly board meetings and give presentations, and that networking piece and that working knowledge, that is so critically important. And there are firms that have won contracts for bigger firms. I know, and I'm sure you guys too, we won't get into names, but there are large national firms that have won contracts because they had the right local MBE or WBE that brought a skill set that was really important to that particular client.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that we're getting ready to wrap up. So I did just want to give a plug that we're going to have our annual meeting with Congresswoman Summer Lee.
Okay.
October 12th here at the Engineer Society. And so.
And that is, now can the public come to this?
So.
Or is this organization
It
based?
is organization based, so
Okay.
you're going to have to get your membership.
That's what I thought.
But next year you can support our golf outing, which
Right,
is how
exactly.
we support our grant program.
Best golf outing in Pennsylvania. Hands down, without a doubt. We got rained on a little bit this year, but
But
that
we're sold
is
out in 2 weeks.
that is always the best golf outing that we go to. And Dr. Marcia, how about a closing thought from you? In particular, you. What the foundation of our podcast is. When I was growing up, my father gave me 5 foundational pillars of what a good life. Live, love, learn, pray, and inspire. Okay? So we like to ask our guests at the end of every show to pick one of those and expand on it a little bit and tell us what it means to you and to your organization.
I would have to say love, because all the other ones follow that. That if you truly love this nation, this county, and our children, that you will do whatever it takes to make sure that they live the best life that they can. And just if I can leave, I really would like to thank SPEO, because they love our children, and they just haven't loved them for 1 year. Every student that they sponsor, they don't sponsor them just for 1 year. They sponsor them for 4 years through the duration
That's
of
awesome.
their college. So,
That is awesome.
thank
It's
you
amazing.
guys so
Yeah,
much.
it's just wonderful to see the name and they're pursuing the career and to see them graduate. It means so much to us. It really, really does. And although we had 2 students and fill the room thing this past
Yes.
summer, it was so great to even know about that. And I was so happy we were able to bring some things to fill the room this year. So that way it makes my heart full. I mean, it really does.
Thank you so much. And she's talking about we supply our students who growing into their freshman year with dorm. Everything they need.
Oh my
for
goodness,
their
that's
dorm.
wonderful.
Oh my
Everything.
goodness.
I just
You
went
have to
through
see
that
it.
with my granddaughter.
Down
That's
to toothpaste, everything that
That's
you need.
amazing.
And SPEO was able to provide some resources for us. So
Excellent.
Thanks so much.
excellent, excellent. Would you ladies like to weigh in on Live, Love, Learn, Pray, Inspire? Is there anything there that jumps out at you?
Nope, I would echo love.
Love. Yeah, I think that I think it's important. I understand love, but I also think it's important to inspire young kids and to pursue an engineering career because I'm so passionate about an engineering career.
Sure.
And I always tell them that it's a foundation. Just go through. You can get through the school. If I can get through engineering school, anybody can get through engineering school. And because I didn't have the right foundation in high school and I didn't take the right courses, but I can tell you that it can open so many doors. It doesn't mean you have to sit and do design work all day long.
Right,
It's just,
right.
I mean, I have a career. I worked at Duquesne Light and I worked at so many different departments. I was even in their HR department for a while, traveled the country, trying to recruit, nuclear
Right.
operators. So, I mean, the world it opens so many doors. And that's what I try to tell these students. It's so important,
It's a wonderful career.
Oh my
and,
goodness,
And it
it
could
really
lead to
is.
so many. And you can get an engineering degree. I have a friend who's an attorney. I was talking to him this morning. He's a lawyer. He's an attorney. He has his own practice. His undergrad is engineering. So I think I read somewhere where the majority of physicians, doctors, have undergraduate engineering
Right.
degrees.
The doctor that did my knee replacement has an engineering degree. Yes, he does.
So it's a wonderful career, and I think that it benefits every part of the fabric of our city and our region. And thank you all for joining us, and thank you so much for what you do. And do you want to plug your website or anything?
www.needld, that stands for lastdollar.org. We give you
There you go.
Bad knee.
There you go.
I didn't know that.
Yes, last dollar.
And the
That's really
SPEO
neat.
website?
It's you say www.speo-pa.org.
Okay. Excellent. Well,
Sorry
thank
about
you so much. This has been wonderful. I appreciate all of you, and I have so much respect for each and every one of you, and you guys as colleagues. And wonderful to meet you, Dr. Marcia. And I hope that our paths cross again. And I would love to be more involved in your organization in any way we possibly can.
Don't worry, I've already thought.
There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.